and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will get you detailed news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Biden seeks symbol of rebuilding at Pittsburgh Bridge. Donald Trump deposed in defamation suit filed by E. Jean Carroll. Authorities seize thousands of suspected fentanyl pills hidden at Los Angeles airport. Somali Americans, many who fled war, now seek elected office. Woman testifies Danny Masterson raped, choked her in 2003. Man who accosted US Representative Zeldin will be released to rehab. Peterman's doctor says he is recovering well from a May stroke. Women charged with sending bee swarm on deputies at eviction. Cardi B battles with lawyer in racy mixtape artwork case. British Prime Minister Liz Truss resigns after weeks of criticism and turmoil. WHO says Ugandan Ebola outbreak rapidly evolving after 1 month. Iran has rejected claims that it was sending missiles and drones to Russia for Russian forces. A strong 6.7 magnitude earthquake shakes western Panama. Indonesia says contaminated medicines linked to 99 deaths. World's female foreign ministers to meet on Iran, says Canada. Pandas sent by China arrive in Qatar ahead of World Cup. And MLB playoffs, Astros seek 2-0 lead versus Young's, NLC's tied off. Now news in detail. The Fern Hollow Bridge in Pittsburgh became a symbol of the country's troubled infrastructure, collapsing into a ravine earlier this year just before President Joe Biden visited the city. Biden detoured to survey the scene, where vehicles were stranded on shards of roadway and several people were injured, and he pledged that help was on the way. The Democratic president hopes to turn the bridge into a symbol of success for his administration when he returned to Pittsburgh on Thursday, less than 3 weeks before the midterm elections. A new span is being built and it could be finished by December. The White House is crediting the bipartisan infrastructure law championed by Biden for the accelerated timeline. The legislation is one of Biden's most notable successes from the first 2 years of his term, and he repeatedly emphasizes its impact while traveling the country to roadways, airplane terminals and seaports. Out of roughly $1 trillion in spending, about $40 billion is dedicated to bridges. John Fetterman, the Democrat running for the U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania, was expected to be on hand when Biden visits the bridge. Afterward, Biden stopped in Philadelphia for a fundraiser with Fetterman, trying to replenish coffers that have been drained in one of the year's most expensive races. Former President Trump answered questions under oath Wednesday in a lawsuit filed by E. Jean Carroll, a magazine columnist who says he raped her in the mid-1990s in a department store dressing room. The deposition gave Carroll's lawyers a chance to interrogate Trump about the assault allegations, as well as statements he made in 2019 when she told her story publicly for the first time. Details on how the deposition went weren't immediately disclosed. We are pleased that on behalf of our client, E. Jean Carroll, we were able to take Donald Trump's deposition today. We are not able to comment further, the law firm representing her, Kaplan, Haker and Fink, said in a statement. Trump has said Carroll's rape allegation is a hoax and a lie. New York lawmakers recently gave people a one-year window to take old sexual assault claims to civil courts. Carroll's lawyer has told the court she intends to file such a suit against Trump after that window opens in late November. According to Carroll's account, she bumped into Trump as the two were shopping at the Bergdorf Goodman store across Fifth Avenue from Trump Tower. At the time, Carroll was on television as the host of an advice program, Ask E. Jean. She said the two engaged in friendly banter as she tried to help him pick out a gift. But when they were briefly alone in a dressing room, she said he pulled down her tights and raped her. In a recent statement, Trump called that story a complete con job. Authorities on Wednesday seized thousands of suspected fentanyl pills hidden in candy boxes at Los Angeles International Airport. Someone tried to go through security screening with some snacks and bags of candy at about 7:30 a.m., the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said in a statement. However, it was discovered that inside the Sweethearts, Skittles, and Hoopers candy boxes were fentanyl pills, the statement said. About 12,000 pills were seized by sheriff's detectives and U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration agents assigned to a drug task force at the airport, authorities said. The suspected trafficker fled but has been identified, authorities said. Authorities recently have warned that drug dealers have been disguising fentanyl in candy wrappers and manufacturing them in rainbow colors. With Halloween approaching, parents need to make sure they are checking their kids' candy and not allowing them to eat anything until it has been inspected by them, the sheriff's department said. Parents should not touch any suspected drugs and should immediately call law enforcement, the department said. It was a busy Friday afternoon at a Somali restaurant on the northeast side of Columbus, home to second largest Somali population in the United States. The smell of spices was just as robust as the loud conversation, and the East African restaurant was crowded after afternoon prayers at the nearby mosque. The hubbub grows when a familiar face swaggers in. Ismail Muhammad, a young Somali lawyer and candidate for the Ohio legislature. Elders and youth alike clamor to say hello. The excitement that someone from their community could represent them in the legislature is palpable. It's humbling too, to be in this position, but it puts a lot of pressure on you to where folks have really high expectations, he said. The 30-year-old Democrat is one of a small but growing number of immigrants who fled civil war and famine in Somalia, ready to add their voices to the political process in the places they now call home. Across the country, 11 Somali Americans are running for legislative seats in Maine, Minnesota, Ohio, and Washington state. Somali Americans have also been elected to city councils, school boards, and in Minnesota, legislative seats and Congress. The growing political cloud corresponds with growing numbers. There was an influx of Somalians arriving in the United States in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and their numbers now top 300,000. They are part of an age-old trend of new immigrants testing the waters of the political process once they have settled in the United States. Many Somali American candidates say they want to lend their voices, ensure their communities have a seat at the table, and offer up solutions to the problems plaguing their communities. A woman broke down on the witness stand Wednesday while giving graphic testimony about a 2003 night when she said she emerged from unconsciousness to find actor Danny Masterson raping her. She is the first of 3 women who say Masterson raped them to testify during his Los Angeles trial. She said at one point she grabbed Masterson's hair to try to pull him away, but he shoved a pillow into her face. I was smothered, she said, crying. I could not breathe. She said she later grabbed his throat to try to push him away, but he held her down and began choking her. Asked by the prosecutor what she was thinking at the time, she replied that he was going to kill me, that I was going to die. She testified that Masterson pulled a gun from a drawer in his bedside table and ordered her to be quiet when there was a commotion and voices at the door. Masterson, 46 years old, who at the time was a star of the Fox TV sitcom That 70s Show, has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of rape. In brief cross-examination before the trial ended for the day, questions from Masterson's attorney Philip Cohen suggested that he would challenge her over differences in the story she told police in 2004, which did not lead to charges for Masterson, and her testimony Wednesday. She considered that she omitted elements of the story at the time to protect people. At a preliminary hearing last year, a previous defense lawyer for Masterson emphasized that there was no mention of a gun in the LAPD report from 2004 and contended the 3 women had each reframed consensual sex as rape. The man who accosted Republican gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin at a campaign event in western New York will be released from jail into an alcohol treatment program, a federal judge ruled. U.S. Magistrate Judge Marian Payson agreed Wednesday to allow David Jacobonis to enter a treatment program administered by the Veterans Administration. He will then be transferred to a halfway house operated by an organization that assists troubled veterans. The attack on Zeldin, a Congress member from Long Island who is challenging Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul, occurred July 21st at a campaign rally near Rochester. A video of the incident shows Jacobonis raised his arm towards Zeldin while holding a keychain with 2 sharp points. "You are done," Jacobonis said 4 times as he approached Zeldin. Attorneys for Jacobonis, an Army veteran, have said their client was drunk and was only reaching for Zeldin's microphone to stop him from talking. John Fetterman, the Democratic nominee for Senate in Pennsylvania, released a doctor's note Wednesday saying he is recovering well from a May stroke as he vies for an open seat in a bare-knuckle campaign against Republican rival Dr. Mehmet Oz, who was questioned Fetterman's fitness to serve. 5 months after the medical emergency from which Fetterman said, "I almost died," he is fighting some lingering effects of the stroke. "The elephant in the room," he called it at a recent rally. He uses closed captioning to quickly interpret and respond to questions, and sometimes stumbles over words. In the one-page letter, Dr. Clifford Chen noted that Fetterman, the lieutenant governor, continues to endure effects of the stroke that involve speech and being able to respond quickly. But Chen said Fetterman exhibited no effects on his cognitive ability or his ability to think and reason after the stroke, which occurred just days before the primary election. Fetterman, 53 years old, is recovering well from his stroke and his health has continued to improve, Chen wrote after examining Fetterman on Friday. A Massachusetts woman who released a swarm of bees on sheriff's deputies as they tried to serve an eviction notice is facing multiple assault and battery charges, authorities said. Rory S. Woods, 55 years old, pleaded not guilty at her arraignment on October 12 in Springfield District Court and was released without bail, MassLive.com, citing court records, reported on Wednesday. She and other protesters maintained that they were trying to prevent a wrongful eviction. The homeowner, Alton King, brought evidence of a bankruptcy estate to court the next day, at which point everything should have stopped, said Grace Ross of the Massachusetts Alliance Against Predatory Lending. Hampden County deputies were met by protesters when they went to the home in Longmeadow on the morning of October 12th, according to the official department report. Woods, who lives in Hadley, arrived in an SUV towing a trailer carrying beehives and started shaking them, breaking the cover of one and causing hundreds of bees to swarm out and initially sting one deputy, according to the report. Woods, who put on a beekeeper's suit to protect herself, was eventually handcuffed but not before several more sheriff's department employees were stung, including 3 who were allergic to bees, the report said. A heated exchange between rapper Cardi B and the lawyer for a man suing her for copyright infringement got so intense Wednesday that the judge briefly stopped the trial. The Grammy winner delivered pointed answers to several questions by attorney Avery Capello, who is representing a man who claims the rapper misused his likeness on the cover of a 2016 mixtape. The testy back and forth between the Capello and the star witness prompted U.S. District Judge Cormac Carney to send jurors out of the Santa Ana, California courtroom and tell both sides he was considering a mistrial. After a break, he called the arguing unprofessional and not productive, but allowed questioning to resume, placing new restrictions for both sides. Kevin Michael Brophy is seeking $5 million from Cardi B over the appearance of some of his distinctive back tattoos on the mixtape's artwork, which shows a tattooed man from behind with his head between the rapper's legs. The rapper said she felt Brophy hadn't suffered any consequences as a result of the artwork, yet has harassed her legally for 5 years. At one point, she said she missed a special moment with her youngest child, who recently turned 1 year old. Now it's time for global updates. British Prime Minister Liz Truss has announced her resignation following weeks of criticism from her opponents and members of her Conservative Party, and the resignation of 2 of her top cabinet picks. Truss said she will remain as Prime Minister until a successor is chosen. She said a leadership election will be completed within the next week. She said she came into office at a time of great economic instability and was elected with a mandate for change, but I recognize, though I cannot deliver the mandate. She announced her resignation in brief remarks outside the Prime Minister's residence in London. Serving just 6 weeks in office, Truss is one of the shortest-serving premiers in British political history. A series of significant missteps meant that much of the political vision she outlined during her campaign for leader was ditched after seriously adverse reactions from financial markets. Together with her friend and political ally Kwasi Kwarteng, Truss had entered office promising to cut taxes and kickstart the country's economic growth through a form of trickle-down economics. But when Kwarteng announced major tax cuts to Parliament, alongside new spending plans focused on protecting households from high energy prices, the country's currency plummeted in value, while the cost of government borrowing shot up. Truss had replaced Boris Johnson as PM this summer. Johnson was forced out by his party after questions were raised about his character amid a series of scandals. Uganda's Ebola outbreak is rapidly evolving a month after the disease was reported in the East African country, a top World Health Organization official said Thursday, describing a difficult situation for health workers on the ground. The Ministry of Health of Uganda has shown remarkable resilience and effectiveness and constantly fine-tuning a response to what is a challenging situation, Dr. Matshidiso Moiti, the UN Health Agency's regional director for Africa, told reporters. A better understanding of the chains of transmission is helping those on the ground respond more effectively. Uganda declared an outbreak of Ebola on September 20, several days after the contagious disease began spreading in a rural farming community. Ebola has since infected 64 people and killed 24. Although official figures do not include people who likely died of Ebola before the outbreak was confirmed, at least 3 of the confirmed patients traveled from the virus hotspot in central Uganda to the capital Kampala, about 150 kilometers away, according to Moiti. Fears that Ebola could spread far from the outbreak's epicenter caused authorities to impose a lockdown, including nighttime curfews on 2 of the 5 districts reporting Ebola cases. Iran has rejected claims that it was sending missiles and drones to Russia for Russian forces to use in the invasion of Ukraine. Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian said on Twitter Thursday that he has spoken on the phone with European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell on the issue. Amir Abdullahian describes the claim Iran was sending missiles and drones to Russia as baseless. He adds that we have defense cooperation with Russia, but without a doubt, sending weapons and drones against Ukraine is not our policy. A strong 6.7 magnitude earthquake shook western Panama early Thursday, though there were no initial reports of damage. Panama's National Civil Defense Agency said via Twitter that the earthquake was felt in Herrera, Bocas del Toro, Veragüez, and western Panama. The U.S. Geological Survey said the earthquake occurred at a depth of 6.2 miles, about 62 kilometers south-southwest of Boca Chica, Panama, of the country's Pacific coast. Indonesia has found contaminated medicines that are suspected of being linked to the deaths of 99 children this year due to acute kidney injury, officials said Thursday. Indonesia's Food and Drug Monitoring Agency said it was tracing 26 medicinal syrups used to treat fevers, coughs, and colds, noting that testing showed 5 such medicines had ethylene glycol levels that exceeded the safe threshold. It said in a statement, the Health Ministry, which banned all syrup medicines on Wednesday, is working with the Food and Drug Agency to determine which other drugs to potentially withdraw as a preventive measure. Health Minister Budi Gunadi Sadikin said, there have been 206 cases of acute kidney injury in children reported from 20 provinces in Indonesia this year, and a death rate of 48%, the Health Ministry said Wednesday. Previously, there were only a few cases of kidney injuries, only 1 or 2 every month, but at the end of August, there was a spike in cases that got our attention. It is an atypical progressive acute kidney injury. We call it atypical as the cause is still under investigation or unknown, said Muhammad Sarhil, a spokesperson from the Health Ministry. However, the agency cautioned that other risk factors can also cause acute kidney injury. Many of the world's female foreign ministers will discuss the brutal crackdown against protesters in Iran during a virtual meeting this week hosted by Canada. Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly said in a statement on Wednesday. Joly and 14 others met virtually on Thursday at 8 a.m. to address unrest ignited by the death last month of Mahsa Amini while being held by Iran's morality police. The incident has been a flashpoint for one of the boldest challenges to the Islamic Republic since the 1979 revolution. My counterparts and I will gather to send a clear message. The Iranian regime must end all forms of violence and persecution against the Iranian people, including their brutal aggressions against women in particular, Joly said. Canada will continue to stand by the courageous Iranians who are fighting for their human rights and standing up for their mothers, sisters, wives, and daughters. Women's rights are human rights, she said. Foreign ministers from Germany, Chile, New Zealand, and Norway are among the 14 who joined Canada, a government source said. Now a look of today's sports stories. A pair of giant pandas sent as a gift from China arrived in Qatar on Wednesday ahead of next month's World Cup. They will take up residence in an indoor enclosure in the desert nation designed to duplicate conditions in the dense forest of China's mountainous Sichuan province. 800 kilograms, nearly 1,800 pounds of fresh bamboo will be flown in each week to feed them. Jingjing, a 4-year-old male weighing 120 kilograms, has been given the Arabic name Suhail, and 3-year-old female Sihei at 70 kilograms has been given the Arabic name Thuraya. The pandas will quarantine for at least 21 days before visitors will be allowed to see them. Qatar is expecting some 1.2 million visitors for the month-long World Cup beginning November 20. The gas-rich Gulf nation will be the first Muslim or Arab country to host the world's biggest sporting event. Justin Verlander and the Houston Astros got the jump on the New York Yankees again. Now they will try to take a 2-0 lead in the AL Championship Series when All-Star lefty Framber Valdez pitches against Yankees right-hander Luis Severino on Thursday night in Houston. It's a day off in the NLCS, with the Padres and Phillies tied 1-all as their best-of-7 series shifts from San Diego to Philadelphia for 3 games beginning Friday night. Verlander recovered from a rocky start and struck out 11 over 6 strong innings to lead the Astros past the Yankees on Wednesday night. Yuli Gurriel launched a tie-breaking homer in the 6th. Chas McCormick and rookie Jeremy Pena also went deep as the AL West champions improved to 4-0 in the playoffs after going 106-56 during the regular season. It was a familiar result in the power struggle between the teams over the past few years. Now let's have a look on today's weather chart. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.